Complaining loitering about card shop customers? It's now a card shop with drinks. Got this card shop I've been going to for probably a decade or so now. About 6 to 7 years ago, they were in this small plaza. Just a bunch of storefronts next to each other off a major road with a shared tiny, like 20 spaces total, parking lot. A lot of people like to hang around the shop for hours, playing cards games, board games, minis games. We didn't buy things on the daily but would drop serious money on stuff every so often. Not sure why it started, but the other stores, mainly the restaurants that were there, started complaining we were taking up their parking spaces, which was causing them to lost customers. Then complained we were loitering since we didn't buy anything. Even coming into the shop in personal to complain. We rarely parked too far from the card storefront since we kept our stuff in our cars. Want to play Warhammer? Let me get my army from the car. MTG? Need to grab my deck from the car. But the shops even starting giving us tickets for loitering in the plaza, putting them onto our cars. Card shop owner or CSO, who I know well from many games and hanging around. Response with, "Okay. We can't have loiterers," and made some changes to the shop. We have a game library, like a floor to ceiling of shelves of a wall in the back full of board games for people like kids to grab and play. That kind of grew over the years. To use the wall now, you needed to pay $5, but with that, you also get $5 credit for the store, which included a newly installed mini fridge full of $1 cans of pop and snacks like chocolate bars and chips. We kept the receipts on our pockets or on the table next to us to display when they came around to complain. The tickets were stopped after a while since landlord heard about it and had a talking to the owners since he wasn't behind it. Also made it a point the parking lot was for the plaza, not any specific storefront. We kept the receipts on hand, still almost like an inside joke. Even newcomers did it after a while. Additional deliciousness. According to CSO, the restaurants kept bugging him about things, from something he threw in the dumpsters to parking his car in the back, basically trying to push him out because the customers weren't the right kind. Pretty sure more stereotyping than factual for reasons I'll get into. So when lease was up, he was out, moved to another plaza about 10 minutes ride away from first location he had secured months before the lease ended. Here's the thing about this card shop. It was very family friendly. We may get loud, but we never cursed and just ushered people who got riled up outside for cooldown. We had kids playing games in the back often. I sometimes was DMing a game for them. Why did we have kids in the shop? Because the parents were doing what got them together in the front area, trying to drop each other's life points to 0. We have several families who came to the shop from all many of fields. You think a rule lawyer is tiring, trying to argue with a real lawyer about rules. When the shop moved, so did these customers, but not sure why these restaurants didn't know or notice. So did their most frequent customers. Many of us brought our meals from these restaurants due to convenience of it, and selection of foods was decent. Food itself wasn't that good, but this was before food deliveries like Uber Eats was a thing. Nowadays, when I drive by the plaza en route to the shop and I chuckle, they definitely don't need to worry about a full lot. Maybe a 1/4 full nowadays. The old card shop location seemed to rotate between shops, from a vapes to taxes to health shop. Currently, for lease. Other shops also moved away from the plaza. The restaurants. One has closed down, boarded up with no sign changed as of this week. The other 3 seem to have upped their gimmicks based on windows full of deals. Food deliveries apps wise, they're not liked, citing poor quality, time and/or gouged prices. The restaurants around the game shop I used to frequent pre-COVID used to hand deliver our order directly to the game store for us. They were very appreciative of the business we sent them. Some know what to do and others just complain about the competition. A nearby suburb has a small plaza dominated by a decently large, in European terms not US, grocery store that had a cool owner. When a new pet store opened next door, he went and paid the owner of the new pet store a visit, asking her about the store's business hours, prices and produce. When he returned to his grocery store, he told his employees that we will remove most of the pet produce from the shelves and to direct customers asking about any lacking pet produce to the pet store next door. His reasoning behind this was that he could free up shelf space to use for other products with better margins without affecting the availability for the customers. And customers could buy their pet food and stuff at the pet store where they also could get qualified advice. A win-win for everyone. So those restaurants cut off their noses to spite their faces. Basically, some people have no business sense. Yeah, a lot of people can't grok the concept of ecosystem. Complaining is easier than adapting. Alas. Street mall near us. Right by the commuter trains. Great locations with foot traffic from the stations laid on twice a day. Shop owners bitched constantly about the trees where streets could be. Got them cut down and pavement laid. Did it help? No. Because what did not change was, stores were closed when I went to work and closed before I came home. I walked past their shuttered shops twice a day along with everybody else who used the trains. They stocked wildly expensive and upscale stuff aimed at no kids no pets lifestyles. This was not the audience that actually existed in the area. In 30 years of commuting, I never saw one desirable or useful thing in those windows. Stores expected the working public, proletariat, not the customers we want or will be polite to visit them within a 4-hour window on Saturday morning instead of dealing with laundry, household, groceries, kids. Not happening. So now the mall is a far less pleasant place. Their rent has risen and there are a lot of empty shops. The strip mall restaurant owners played a stupid game and won. Sadly, they probably never made the connection between the card shop moving and the loss of customers. The restaurants near my LGS were neutral and the shops nearby were all related. Nerd things, arcade, anime, trendy import snacks, etc. All of them suffered and the nerdy shops closed when the LGS moved. They all overestimated their survivability and underestimated the impact of the LGS. I was in a couple card shops recently and wondered about the sodas. Thank you for explaining it to me. I've never heard of shops trying to drive away business before. Who would have thought they'd go under? Thanks for sharing tears of joy.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.